We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban Nerdcon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th to the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include the Sci-Fi Sisters, Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager Tim Russ, and from the Fairly Odd Parents Gary L. Gray.
What up, y'all? It's Gary Gray. Check it out. I need you to do something for me. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for Urban Nerdcon. It's going to be lit. Okay. Our heroes, our villains, everyone's con. See y'all there.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to a live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. Brian Fulford and A.D. Drew catching up. A.D., how you doing, man?
Doing all right, my brother. Doing all right. Can you smell it, Brian? Some of y'all don't want to smell it, though. The fresh cut grass of baseball and softball season. But for some of y'all don't want to smell it because along with that fresh cut grass means fresh flowing pollen. For some of y'all, yes. But it's that time. It's coming, Brian. The days are getting longer. We're approaching daylight savings time. The tension is high among basketball teams. And some teams will be saying, when they break the huddle this week, 1, 2, 3 spring break, while others will continue on with their season. Some for another day, some for a couple more weeks. But while some of them are looking for those beaches, some will continue to play on. And all I can say, Brian, that some of these teams somebody will knock it down this weekend.
And same can be said, Drew, even at the high school level. You know, there's a lot of people's seasons are over. A lot of people are practicing on Monday, Drew. That's all I can say. Shout out to OCP, winners of 8 consecutive region championships in the state of Florida, going to the Final Four for the 8th consecutive year. Shout out to head coach.
How many of those have you been a part of?
This is my 5th season. I've been blessed to be a part of this program for now the 5th year. So I'm looking forward to it. I was there for the three-peat. I was there last year when we lost by 1 point on a horrible call by official. But anyway, it was a tough loss by 1. But now the boys seem focused, and we had to do it a different way. You know, one of our top players who's going to the University of Florida was injured for about 20 games. But we got him back just in time going into the final week of the season, senior week. And we've been playing at a high level since he's come back, and everybody's healthy. So I love our chances in the Florida High School Athletic Association State tournament coming up this week and next week down here in the state of Florida. I know that's happening in a lot of states. I know a lot of states, Alabama, you were witnessed, or they're going at it in Alabama. I think Georgia's even got their state tournament.
Georgia is entering the regional. I think they just had regional championships. They'll begin their Final Four next week, I believe. In Georgia, Alabama's Final Four begins on tomorrow. I was witness to a regional tournament, worked 5 days of a regional tournament. Saw some good basketball, Brian. Saw some horrible basketball. It's amazing. These teams are in the Sweet 16 and Final 8 of their respective classes. I did see one of a player who was committed to go play Division II basketball tore her knee up in a Sweet 16 game. Team held on to win that game, but when they got to the game of 8, it was ugly because she was clearly the best player on that team, and it was nothing nice. A non-contact injury. I knew what it was when I saw it. And when they had to come out there and get the wheelchair to get her off the field, off the court, it was not good. And I don't know. I know Florida doesn't have it. Alabama doesn't have it. But in Georgia, we have the shot clock.
Yeah.
I saw not one, not two, but 3 teams lose a game due to lack of shot clock.
Bad shot clock.
No shot. There's no shot clock in Alabama. So
okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
Teams up, pulling it out early in the fourth quarter, be it fourth quarter, with maybe a 1 to 2 possession lead, trying to milk the clock. The other team picks it up, there's a turnover, a score, and then all of a sudden that team that pulled it out has lost all of its momentum and rhythm trying to go back and play ball again. So high school shot clock, once you get used to it, is an amazing thing. With that, a team is always in the game. I literally saw a game where from the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter to the 1-minute mark in the fourth quarter, we had 3 shot attempts.
Oh, that's ugly.
And that you would think, okay, there must have been a bunch of free throws in the midst of that. No, when I say 3 shot attempts, 3 shot attempts. That includes free throws because the team was in the bonus situation. And if the team is holding the ball, obviously there's no aggression where you can create shooting fouls.
I've been on the side of being a team that was going up against a powerhouse team and knew that if you went possession for possession, you weren't supposed to win. You just don't have the talent that no matter how much you coach and teach and try to run pick and rolls and emphasize good passing and ball handling, you know what? Talent can sometimes supersede and overcome, but
I'm gonna tell you what else can overcome, Brian. A team that went 11 for 20 in the first half from behind the arc.
That's what it takes.
The team scored 35 points in the first half.
Yeah,
33 of them were from behind the arc.
That's what it takes. That you have to be. I've always, and so my thought is with that said, I've always, even as I've self-scouted our team, right? The teams that usually hang with us or compete with us, have at least talent within their 1 to 8 that is comparable to ours. Like you got some seniors, juniors, maybe even some sophomores that are high-level players at their grade level, right? Or you have some guards, at least 2 to 3, who can really, really
light
shoot.
it up.
Yeah. Now, even if you have the one guy, like every team's got a guy. So even if you have a team that has one guy, like the team we faced has a guy who averages 24 a game, but he's one guy. So go ahead and score 20. We're going to shut the rest of the stuff down. And then let's see, he can't score 50. He's not going to score 60 by himself.
I guess you off.
So that said, that's what it takes. But the shot clock does sort of force – it really is an advantage for the more talented team because it rewards you for playing good defense. Like we emphasize, hey, play defense hard for 30, 35 seconds and force them into a bad shot. That's what's going to happen with the shot clock, right? And good defensive teams can manage that. You know, you can play that. What's hard to do is be a good defensive team for 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And I also think it's hard to be a good offensive team when you're stalling for 8 minutes. Like I've got this belief, Drew, that once you get to about the 3-minute mark in the fourth quarter, that's when you maybe slow it down. But
slow it down, yes. Layup only rule, yes.
Yes, exactly.
No,
right.
But no aggression at all.
Not trying to score. Yeah, no.
Dean Smith's 4 corners. No.
Yeah, no.
The double high at the elbow, dribble down, pass it back up. No. Especially when that guard turns the corner and actually has a layup, but pulls it out. I can't stand it. Yeah. And I say that knowing I used to coach like that sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, the one thing, the state of Florida is there are some legislation that's happening in the state of Florida that shot clock may be coming to the state of Florida in high school basketball in the next couple of years. I think they just have to figure out how they're going to institute it. You know what I'm saying? But the good thing is, you said Georgia has it, so I think
we phased it in over 3 years.
And that's right. That'll give you time to, you know, assume the cost and figure. Now, another big complaint is who's gonna officiate the shot clock? Is it done by a scores person at the table? Is it done by officials?
Well, I know here in Georgia, the person who running the game clock has to take a certification test.
Oh my
and
God.
Same thing, it's just like the officials have to take a certification test. Same thing with their shot clock person. They will have to take a certification test. And it'll probably be, if you're certified to do the game clock, you'll probably be certified to do the shot clock. They'll probably expand the shot clock test or something along those lines. And then obviously you've got officials who can run the clock if the school's willing to pay an official. But it's cheaper to have your own person, be that a volunteer, be that somebody on your own staff who can run game clock and shot clock. And in Georgia, we phased it in over 3 years with year one, it was done in tournaments only. Year two was non-conference and tournaments only. Then year three was it was fully implemented. Region play, everything was done for year three. But in year two, regions had the option of going with the shot clock, and most of the larger classes went with it because they already had all the equipment in, which was time for people to get the equipment in. Now, right. From 1A to 7A, everybody has a shot clock in Georgia.
Gotcha. Let me say hello to everybody that's checked in the chat room. Tamara T, Mary 305, Jeff Roberts, them boys, Chuck Hunt on Facebook, Walter Harley on YouTube, them boys, Edwin Moore. Good to see you guys. I'm sure there's some other folks that are watching. Maybe you haven't thought about coming to our chat room, but you can come to the chat. You can check us out on YouTube via the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page. That's at MyJBN Online is where you can find us. You can also join the chats on Facebook as well. You can either be on the Black College Sports Network Facebook page or the BCSN SportsWrap Facebook page. Those of you watching on Instagram, we say hello to you. Those of you watching on X, also known as Twitter, or formerly known as Twitter. Make sure you're following us at MyBCSN1, the number one. Everyone do me a big solid. Hit the thumbs up for the first part. And then, most of you guys, I know where you're from. That's what I love. Chuck Hunt always reminds us where he's checking in from.
After 3 years, Chuck, if we don't know you from Monroe, Louisiana, then we don't know you.
I love that. I love that.
When Chuck moves, that's when we'll find out what's going on with Chuck.
Right, exactly.
Or if he's traveling.
Right. The rest of you guys, feel free to go ahead and check in with your city, state, your area code, whatever it is.
You know what else I love about our show, Bryan?
What's that?
Our people have been loyal and been with us for so many years. They speak to each other in the chat room.
Right. Exactly. I love that. They're so familiar with each other. I love to see the back and forth love. Y'all showing love to one another. That's
the
what
trash talking. The trash talking amongst each other's schools, because everybody know who's an alumni of what school, and
right.
And it's all done in love.
It's all HBCU love. Yes, y'all know where we went to school, but we talk about all schools here, and all topics surrounding HBCU sports. So we do talk about everything. Good to see. Got Edwin checking in from the DFW, Mary 305 from down in Miami-Dade County all day. Good to see you guys. So we got a heavy basketball show, because there's the topic of the show. Show title says it's time for tournaments time, baby. We're coming up the last week of February. We actually have Elite Day, so that extra day of the year, we got tournaments that are starting up in the Division II level, headlined by the CIAA tournament, which is starting tomorrow in Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you, Walter, for reminding us. Is Livingston in the tournament, Walter? Did they get an invite? Yes, I think they did. They're in the tournament, right? Congratulations to Livingstone. That's just jokes, Walter. Just jokes. But we're going to look at the bracket here shortly. We're going to talk about that tournament. Good to see Willie Bolden checking in from GA from Dallas. We're going to talk about that headline matchup that took place at Southern. Grambling, men and women, Drew, going on the road and getting the sweep at Southern. And the men, as I was sort of co-producing the Carlos Brown show at the start of this yesterday's show, and obviously Carlos Southern guy, Charles Edmond, a Grambling grad, and I was trying to figure out whether Southern had a chance. I was trying, and obviously the young man who I think a lot of people have been talking about Joseph. Joseph for Southern.
Yes.
He's been, I didn't realize that he'd
6
been
games,
out.
I think.
Yeah. And talking with Carlos,
he ain't coming back.
He may not come back. I mean, it pretty like that the team was winning without him. And I don't think it doesn't sound like there's a big rush to have him back. But Grambling is a hot team, and they were trailing that game in the first half. The men were trailing that game in the first half. Drew, they were an underdog by about 4.5 points, plus 150 on the money line. But I was thinking, dog, if I'm gonna ride with anybody in this game, I would have rode with Grambling. I didn't put anything on it though, sadly. I wish I would have. I might have won something last night. But that was a loss. And then the women came up with a big shot. I very late in the fourth quarter, maybe with seconds to go, I think, kind of hit a big shot to put them over top of Southern. So Edwin says the ref. What do you say? The refs robbed us in front of lights and cameras. Now, Edwin, you said the refs. Look, a lot of talk is at some point. I'm surprised somebody hasn't created a Twitter handle or a video clip montage of just bad SWAC refereeing calls, because obviously, if you've seen the video of Mo Williams at Alcorn, he was hot about a particular call. And Drew, did you see the video clip of that, Drew?
No.
So,
can you pull it up?
You know what? Let's pull it up after the break.
Let's pull it up after the break.
I'm gonna find it because I know G. I know G was talking. He was talking cash about it, but I'm gonna see if I can find it. But I don't know if it was the actual call that led to it. And I've just been so busy this afternoon that I haven't been able to kind of track it down. Let's see. Willie Bolden checking in about Joseph. He said, we are too small right now. He is done. I'm assuming he's talking about Joseph, I'm sure. Yeah, Willie's is writing off Southern's chances of winning the SWAC tournament. That's interesting. Second place, I believe in second place, but writing them. Yeah, I'd almost be there with you here on that, Willie. Yeah, Karen, we're going to talk about Florida Memorial and Langston here coming up in the show as both teams get ready to go into their conference tournaments.
What made Coach Williams so hot?
Mo Williams. I'll find that clip. I'll just show the clip that who was it? I think that Yard Talk had put out, and then of course, everybody responded and saw it. So yeah, Edwin says Grambling straight bullied Southern. I've always said this, Drew. If it's contact and physical on both ends, I don't have a problem. It's when you get the one-sidedness that makes you question. And I would say, look at a team's history too. I know, Edwin, you're looking at that through Southern colored glasses. But I would say, what's the foul? What is Grambling usually a physical team? Are they the kind of team that gets a lot of fouls called on them, or are they just a really tough defensive team that knows how to get their position?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say the rest of that. Bryan, let's talk about something positive before we go into this break.
Oh, you got something positive. What you got?
Stephen Joyner, Sr. from Johnson C. Smith.
Okay.
Picks up win number 600 for his career. And that puts him behind Big House Games and give me a second if I can remember the who was number 2 in I have it right here, and Dave Robbins Virginia Union. So with the 80-74 victory on senior night, Johnson C. Smith improved their record to 14-11. But more significantly, that is win number 600 for Joyner. He becomes the fourth. All these pop-ups keep coming up on the and this comes courtesy of HBCU Sports. He becomes the fourth NCAA HBCU head coach to reach 600 win milestone, the third CIAA head coach. Once again, that's Clarence Big House Games and Winston-Salem State and Dave Robbins. After beginning his career with the women's basketball team, Joyner became the head coach of the men's team in 1987 and has served in that role ever since. In his 35 years with the team, where were you at 35 years ago, Bryan? He led the Golden Bulls to 7 division and 3 conference titles. He has also been named CIAA Coach of the Year 3 times, including 2001 when he was named NCAA Division II South Atlantic Region Coach of the Year. And the Golden Bulls made their last tournament win in 2009.
There you see right off the goldenbullsports.com. Congratulations. Good, nice graphics, good story there for Coach Joyner. As you see, Johnson C. Smith got the 80-74 win over a Claflin team, which that was a big win. If I'm not mistaken, Claflin has the best conference record in the CIAA. So we'll, that was a big win for Johnson C. Smith, so we'll kind of look on that. We'll talk about that here coming up shortly, but congratulations to Coach Joyner on that win.
Yes.
Yeah. You had a clip. You had a big day this past week. You had a nice little. I kind of tweeted in our little Facebook group that Gus Johnson would be proud of you, Drew, for what your excitement and energy that you showed in a recent broadcast. So, go ahead and before we go to our first commercial break and come back in with some other topics, go ahead and hit that clip of that contest. This is from earlier in the week at Miles College, Allen versus Miles.
21.3 seconds remain in the ball game. You'll go to Bears, trail by 3. Inbounding the ball will be Truett Spencer. Ball comes in to Alvin Miles. Chase Ballard over to Spencer. Spencer shot. Knocked it down! We are tied! 11, 10, Allen with no timeouts remaining. Aldridge. Jump shot. No good. Rebound, no good. We have free basketball in the Knox Wyndham Gymnasium. Listen to him, everybody. Listen to him go crazy. The Miles go to Bears. Open the game. Allen hit the first 16. 21.3 seconds remain in the ball game.
And then I go into how we got there.
What's interesting is, first off, that was a hell of a shot in the corner because what was it looked like a turnaround jump shot.
It was a pass. He caught it on like a curl action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tough call. And then of course, it's always, you got the crowd noise and everything, and you're excited.
You don't realize how loud you are in the microphone during that situation till you go back and listen to yourself.
Right. And then you're like, oh, Jesus. But that's all right, though. That's, fortunately, our good audio production people, that's for them to try to figure out in the moment. But it's hard to do.
Bro, I was in the red, man. I was in the red on the audio.
All right. Gotcha.
But the one thing I had to point out doing that, Allen had no timeouts. And I don't know if you heard me bring that out. When I started counting 11, 10, Allen has no timeouts because people may have been wondering, why doesn't Allen call a timeout to set something up? And I had to quickly point out that Allen was out of timeouts in that situation. And how did we get there, Brian? Allen opened up the game with the first 14 points of the ball game. Miles did not score until just before the second media time out. Miles trailed by as many as 20 points in the first half.
Ooh.
They were down 10. Then a bucket by Allen at the buzzer put them up 13. A three as time expired put them up 13. What does Miles do coming out second half? They scored the first 12 points of the second half to cut into the lead before Allen is even able to get a bucket going. Ultimately, Miles wound up taking the lead, never led by more than 2 points. And then Allen came back and we took the lead. A couple of turnovers late, set up that situation that we had right there. After Allen had a chance to ice the game, I believe they went 1 for 2 at the line, which made it a 3-point game.
All right. Let's get into. We're going to come back and talk about basketball here, but let's get into a couple of hot topics, some things that happened over the past week and weekend. Especially some of the top news that came out of the HBCU Legacy Bowl, including a debate that I'm sure will or has started that will carry on through the first part of the week on all of your favorite HBCU sports talking shows, including ours. So stay tuned. And stay tuned.
We're not their favorite show, Brian. They don't care.
Well, hey, listen.
Let's get out of here.
Let's take a short break, come back, and talk about the HBCU Legacy Bowl right after this break. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. here. Good to have everyone in the chat room joining us. Folks who have jumped in over the last few minutes. We appreciate you. We see Coach Ferrasi in there. Coach Ferrasi, good to see you. James Knox, Southbound 3000. Anybody talking about South Carolina State these days? Yeah, I don't know. Jeremiah Clark.
Did it work? How long was you on the phone for that $5? That's all I want to know, Jeremiah.
Come on over and switch to T-Mobile. Come on over and switch to T-Mobile, Jeremiah. You don't have them kind of issues with T-Mobile.
Verizon, brother. Verizon, man.
Well, you had those issues with T-Mobile either. So,
but don't it make you bad when you're on the phone with them all day and they only want to give you a $5 credit off a future bill?
Again, I don't have them problems with T-Mobile. You know, that's y'all dealing in with AT&T. You iPhone users, you're iPhone user. That's what happens. See, come on over to T-Mobile. Come on over. Okay. So, HBCU Legacy Bowl was this past week. Everything from the Combine to the Career Fair, the game. That was at in New Orleans at Tulane Stadium. at the stadium that Tulane University plays their games in. A couple of the headlines prior to the game. Combine results, I'm just going off memory here. I think the fastest time was run by Florida A&M defensive back Eric Smith, who ran a 4.32. So, we'll be looking to see if he matches that. He ran a 4.39 in his first run, Drew, which was the fastest time. Then he ran a 4.32 in his second run. So, of course, that's lightning fast. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what he runs in his pro day. I know there were some other scouts and some different guys who, I didn't necessarily. We probably talked more about it on Wednesday's ONG show in terms of guys who did well. If you guys in the chat room, anybody who you heard did well through the combine, feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat room. I noticed, different grades and kind of stuff like that. In terms of awards, because it is an opportunity for the Black College Football, Black College Pro Football Hall of Fame to offer or to put up their season awards. And looking at the headlines here on HBCU Legends, former Florida A&M head coach Willie Simmons was named the 2023 National Coach of the Year. Actually, no, he was the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches Coach of the Year. That's where that award came in. So I don't know if the HBCU or if the Pro Football Hall of Fame did a Coach of the Year kind of award, but Coach Simmons, that was recognized. So congrats to him. The players, Jeremy Musa and Davius Richard, were named co-players of the year, winning the prestigious Deacon Jones Trophy, which is named after the legendary HBCU player and inaugural Black College Football Hall of Fame inductee. Goes to the player who has the most outstanding season. I was trying to see if he had on here a list of previous winners of the award. I know we've seen people such as Shador Sanders has won the award, Akil Glass, Amir Hall. Those are just some of the quarterbacks that come to mind. Can you think of any of the other previous winners, Drew?
No, I think you named the ones that was on my tongue.
Edwin says, define what the coalition of minority football coaches includes. I believe that is a group that is targeting all football, regardless of position, whether you're head coach or an assistant coach. I think it's just minority football coaches. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a search here in a second, see if I can find out exactly what that group aims to do. They also had a career fair on Thursday, which went well. A lot of good opportunities and connections for these players to, only so many of these guys are going to move into a professional football space, but that's their dream right now. But the opportunities through the career fair give them an opportunity, as well as others. I know, we had a young lady, Angela Lawani, who did some video coverage. She attended that career fair. What do you got, Drew?
The Coalition of Minority Football Coaches, established in June 2020, the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches, NCMFC, and this foundation are dedicated to preparing, promoting, and producing minority coaches at all levels of football: professional, collegiate, scholastic, and recreation.
Right.
That is their mission statement.
Okay. So the game was on Saturday and 4:00 Eastern on NFL Network. And probably the biggest headline, maybe even bigger than the uniforms and the helmets and not even being able to sort of recognize, recognize guys, which, I heard a few complaints or read some complaints that people had regarding not being able to make out. Or I guess names were miscredited by the announcers, because I think they had a tough time figuring out who was who. The big headline was Davius Richard sustaining a right leg injury on a touchdown run in the first quarter, first possession of the bowl game, in which he appeared to injure it as a defender landed awkwardly on his leg. A medical staff immediately had called for a stretcher. I think they put his leg in an air cast. I did see a tweet by Kyle Mosley, I believe, who he, of course, is the founder and managing editor and chief reporter for HBCU Legends. He did say that hold on, I'm gonna make sure I pull the tweet. I do think he's good, and that the injury, let's see, Kyle's tweet from earlier today stated that no, this is Gerald Huggins of who is a scout. Draft HBCU is where you can find him on Twitter. He said he got an update on Davius Richard, and he is doing just fine. Now, I don't know what, just fine means. Just fine. But I wanted to talk for just a quick second about the instant reaction that some of our fellow HBCU media folk and maybe even scouts had about Richard playing in the game, and then the particular play call, which was sort of a read option keeper, kind of what Richard does, what he's been doing all season, right? That's his game. But he got hurt, and a lot of people's instant reaction, and I guess scouts had been saying and questioning earlier in the week, because I think Richard played in the Hula Bowl as well. I don't know what and how well he performed in the Hula Bowl. But the immediate reaction was, why is he playing in this game? He doesn't need to play in this game. He is, and obviously you hate to see anybody get injured in any bowl game.
Any game, period.
Well, but especially, these
game
kind
that
of
don't count.
These games that don't count. But I would challenge that and say they do kind of count. Because it's an opportunity for these guys to get maybe some extra exposure. I maintain, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Davius Richard is a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round draft pick of the NFL.
I'm not going to tell you he's a draft pick.
I don't believe he is. There have been 2 HBCU quarterbacks drafted by the NFL in the last, I'm trying to do the math here.
25
we now at 30?
maybe?
We at 30? 30? McNair was drafted in 94, right?
Right.
So
and Tavares.
This is 24, so this would be 30.
And then Tavares Jackson.
Right. So we've had 2 quarterbacks
And
drafted.
Ja'Varr Jackson comes with the asterisk.
Why?
Because he started his career at a non-HBCU and finished up at Alabama State.
Okay.
Steve
But
McNair played his entire
he
career
was
at an HBCU.
But okay, I got you. So, but 30 years, you had a guy drafted from the quarterback position from an HBCU. The league has told us by the number of draftees that they've had, what schools they value, and they value guys that have played in the Power 5 position. That's their minor league, Power 4 now, whatever you want to call it.
In the SEC and the Big Ten, more specifically.
Right. So any opportunity that these guys get against best of the best, and that's what this is supposed to be, right? This is supposed to be best of the best. When you have these kind of things, whether it be the Senior Bowl, whether it be the East-West Shrine Game, whatever, Reese's Senior Bowl, best of the best talent is going up against one another. So you want to see you want to see how you stand out against these guys. Yes, I hear that the practices matter more than the game, but still in the game, obviously with short practice time, short repetition, being able to showcase your skills matter. Okay. So I don't want to sit here and say that he shouldn't have played in this game as if his ticket to the NFL was already assured and punched, because it wasn't. At best, in my opinion, maybe there's what's the new league now? UFL, the combination of the XFL and the USFL.
Yes. Correct.
At best, maybe he's drafted there. But and yes, I know he has a unique skill set, but I just maintain that remember how upset people were that Amir Hall from Bowie State didn't get drafted. People were upset that Akil Glass didn't get drafted, Davius Richard, Jeremy Musa, it'd be nice to think that the NFL is going to draft it. Maybe they will. But it's the chances are slim. Maybe they could be the unicorn. But I would say maybe he could. Hold on a second. Maybe he could be an undrafted free agent, and he could get into somebody's camp. Yes, he could get into somebody's camp and then showcase his skills that way. But there are so many players who need this opportunity. To say that this moment, that this one injury is going to change this game is an instant overreaction that we kind of got to pump the brakes on, in my opinion, because there's so many other players that need this game and need this opportunity. Go ahead, Drew. I'll let you jump in there for a moment.
Look, y'all, there's only one Brock Purdy, who was the last draft pick in his draft class, who got lucky and got an opportunity to start. I see Trey Lance in the chat by them boys.
North Dakota State, right?
But let's think about, speaking of Trey Lance,
where's he at?
How did Brock Purdy get that job?
Yeah.
Was it Trey Lance on the depth chart ahead of him?
He was.
And injury to Jimmy Garoppolo, and correct me if I'm wrong, an injury to Trey Lance is the only reason we even know of Brock Purdy to start with, besides the fact that he was good enough to become the third quarterback initially. And even the coaches knew that, hell, I think our best quarterback is number 3 on our depth chart. But you couldn't play Brock Purdy ahead of Trey Lance, who you drafted in the first round. You couldn't play him ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo, who essentially was Tom Brady's backup and who had taken you to the promise, as close as you could to the promised land previously. So, he had to wait his turn. How many Brock Purdy's out there are there? How many Tony Romo's out there are there? They go from undrafted to leading an NFL franchise for multiple years. Not too many. So every opportunity that these young men get to play and improve their stock, they need to take it. I mean, you just have to take it. It's part of, unfortunately, it's part of the game. Brian, should a pitcher pitch in an all-star game for fear that he may throw out his shoulder or his elbow and need Tommy John? But we watched it.
Yeah,
We watched the baseball all-star game.
Right.
We already seen what happens in the basketball game, a la the NBA basketball game, where nobody plays defense and nobody cares, and it becomes a dunk show in the three-point contest, where you're scoring 400 points between two teams. So either we take the all-star games for what they are and allow these kids opportunity to shine, or don't play them at all. But to change the rules and to soften the hell, I don't want to see the Pro Bowl games for these kids playing flag football and doing all the skill combines like the Pro Bowl does now, because the NFL players stop caring. And when you're making those kinds of millions of dollars, I understand that at that level. But they've got to. It's unfortunate. We hope that he's able to come back from the injury, because I know he was one of the top 40 times in the combine. I believe he ran like a 4.5 and some change during his run this week.
A 4.5, yeah.
Yeah.
And they said Kyle says he had an outstanding week of practices with scouts from several teams evaluating his talent as well. So a lot of positives came out of it for him in the days leading up to it.
Yeah. But nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say that about that defensive player who tweaks their shoulder or tweaks an ankle or pulls a quad or anything else. No, we just focus on the doggone quarterbacks, Ryan. We focus on those skill players. What about the offensive linemen and things like that? Hell, the offensive lineman, that's the toughest position to play. If somebody falls on the knee, their leg goes the wrong way, now his career is over. But nobody cares about the offensive lineman. We only care about the quarterback or the receiver.
I heard I saw a comment that, and it's kind of what D-Lob just put in there about this may steer the top players away, and I don't think. I think
why?
Right.
What are they getting? What are they going to do?
What other opportunities are there?
If we had players who were graded out in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft, I would be the first one to tell them not to play. But you tell me, you tell me,
like the Reese Senior Bowl or something like that is where they might be.
Right. But you tell me the last HBCU player who actually graded out in the first 3 rounds without going through all these processes. Yeah. There's no Ed Too Tall Joneses on any of our campuses right now. I hate to say it. There's no Steve McNair in the eyes of the NFL. There's no Jerry Rice in the eyes of the NFL, John Stallworth. These scouts are not going to take that flyer that early on these kids. That is why they have to get out here and do it, despite you and I knowing that they have every ounce of talent that somebody at the University of Alabama, University of Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC has. But they chose to get their education from an HBCU.
Yeah. I just, I think this is one of those moments that it's a celebration and an acknowledgement of these guys. I don't, people say you have to rethink what you're doing with this game. What's the alternative? I mean, are you gonna move to playing flag football now?
How many pro days are they gonna have? No, when all these players come together at one spot, that's the best opportunity to be seen. The game is the reward for the players. The practice is what the scouts are looking at. How do you conduct yourself in practice? How well do you communicate with your teammates, your coaches, your mannerisms, your this and that. What kind of music are you listening to? Are you listening to all that where every other word out your mouth is N-word this and N-word that? Those scouts are paying attention to that. Be this and be that. Those scouts are paying attention to that during that week. Because they get ready to pay you up $10 billions. Now, you know they are ready to poke in and to find out who your first grade girlfriend was, if they're even considering you. So, and they know about that fight that you had in the third grade. They know all this stuff. They trying to see you in person, your character, and how you're going to interact should they add you to their locker room. And should they take their flyer on you. Because that's what they're doing.
The final score was 10-6. I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I was down at the in Vero Beach at the Andre Dawson Classic Saturday. But I don't think the score. I don't know what the scores have been the last couple of years, but the scores haven't. You usually don't get a lot of scoring at these bowl games anyway. Just because the defenses have the advantage. Obviously, the offenses you don't have the timing and things like that, and you're really just kind of looking for efficiency. But the defenses usually have the advantage in these bowl games, and the scoring is low. And again, you got the best of the best. I mean, these are all-star caliber games. So, and these are guys who are actually playing hard. So, I don't look year 3 of the HBCU Legacy Bowl. I think the big thing that was the improvement this year was that the combine was televised, and that I know in the previous years you kind of had you had questions as to what people's numbers and things were because it wasn't televised. And I think it was a big step getting it televised this year. I think also they took a big step forward in the play. They did get some of the top talent. I love the mix of being able to get Division II guys, like I think a Lubert Danellis from Benedict, who probably showcased himself very well in this. I think the team, let's see, the MVP of the game went to Team Robinson's defensive lineman, Zarion, I hope I'm saying his name right, Zarion Hayes out of Alabama A&M. He had 4 sacks in the game. So that's pretty impressive. I don't know if they had an offensive player of the game or if that was just he was the defensive MVP. I don't see who the offensive MVP. Anybody know who the offensive MVP is? Well, we'll kind of take a look back. Yeah, Kelvin says, the offensive line and the quarterback play aren't good enough to have good offense in the Legacy Bowl. I think that's the case at most of these bowl games. Most of the bowl games, you don't get that kind of good play. So from this, at this point, pro days will become, actually, you have the major combine that's happening in Indianapolis this upcoming week. Now, I don't know. Oh my goodness. Kelvin said the punter. Oh, he may be joking there. He said the punter was the offensive MVP. I don't know who is going to be. Are there any HBCU guys that are going to be going or up to Indianapolis? Has anybody heard the list? I haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't seen the list as to whether there are any guys on that list or not. So, So we'll kind of see what happens there. Any other thoughts there regarding the Legacy Bowl before we come off of that, head to a break and get into kind of talking about basketball?
Nah, let's go ahead. Let's get into some hoops, man. Hey, it's pre-March Madness, Brian.
It's pre-March Madness.
It's March Madness officially. It's officially March Madness. Hell.
Yeah. So we got a lot of stuff to run through, and I did finally put together some graphics. Last week I introduced this concept of, if there was a HBCU basketball invitational as a postseason tournament, obviously, because there's only going to be one team from the SWAC, one team from the MEAC. Maybe North Carolina A&T can win the CIAA conference tournament and find themselves into the tournament. But outside of that, there's not going to be any postseason opportunities for most of the teams who are having good seasons. Now, that's not the case at the Division II or NAIA level, as there may be a couple of teams outside of the conference champions that find their way into winning. Tennessee State on the men's side, they got a shot in the Ohio Valley Conference as well. I got some interesting notes about them. So we'll talk about what that looks like. We'll talk about the ratings on that, and then we got to get into getting you guys prepped for these upcoming tournaments here later on in the week. So let's do that. Coming up here on the other side of the break, you're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Bryan and A.D. Let's take a short break here and come back, and we'll get into more right here.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
I'm returning to Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only Mobile Cigar Lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. There's Drew. All right. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button or the like button wherever you're watching the show at. Shout out to everybody who might be watching on Instagram or X, formerly known as Twitter. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube or JBN, you can also be a part of the chats that way as well. Okay. I think I found that I'm going to try to see if I can pull up my Twitter handle. We were talking about that play from the Jackson State Alcorn game, which got Mo Williams tossed. So I'm going to pull up my Twitter feed. Of course, this comes from the Alcorn State Sports Network. Our good friend Charles Edmond on the broadcast. Of course, this is just a clip. Very funny comments. Let me see here. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to see if this will work here. Having some screen sharing issues here. All right.
Say if not, send me the URL and I'll see if I can pull it up.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna try to mute the audio so it doesn't come in so loud here. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it'll play. This is great radio if you're listening to the podcast version of this on the BCSN Pod Zone. But if you're watching it live, you're just seeing my spinning wheel of death here.
Hey, send it to me, Brian, so I can pull it up. Maybe my internet will run faster.
Yeah,
because yours looks like it's being choppy.
Yeah, it's not cooperating. If you can access my Twitter handle, I could send it to you. Here, I'll just copy the link and I'll post it in the chat feed for you. Good luck to you. Okay, so we'll get to that shortly. Okay, let me pull this up before we get into talking about what's real, which is actually these conference tournaments that are upcoming, and getting into some of the standings and so on and so forth. Let's go back to my theory here of what would an HBCU invitational look like? What would an HBCU invitational? Now, again, the reason I bring this up is because unlike past years where the NIT, the National Invitational
I've got that ready for you, Brian.
Okay. Let's go to it. Yeah, if you've got it, let's go to it. And then before I get started into this showing the PowerPoint and everything. All right, so this is Mo Williams.
A minute 5 left. Can we get one stop? Cornelius in the paint. Cornelius floater. No, we got a foul call on Jackson State. And Mo Williams is incensed. And Mo Williams just got teed up. And he has just been ejected. Mo Williams is going to be held back by Trey Johnson, his assistant coach. And Mo Williams is angry. He is frustrated. Mo Williams has just been ejected. 57.6 remaining. Mo Williams is still incensed.
It's a long discussion here going on here, right?
Being escorted off. Assistant ADFC Robinson escorting him to the locker room.
Okay. So, okay, let's clip. That's it. That's at the end of the video right there. Shout it again too. Now, okay, watch the play here. Now, where does the foul happen? I hope it's not on the ball handler. Watch this right here.
Cornelius Florida, no, we got a foul call on Jackson State.
Okay. Is that an offensive foul?
Cornelius in the.
So the question is, Drew, is that an offensive foul call? Because I believe that's who they called the foul on. I believe they called the foul on the ball handler. I don't think they called it on the box out guy on the weak side. Watch the box out guy. That's a legit offensive box out. I don't.
Did he call that? It's not extended. It's bent.
Right. I don't think it's extended at all. And there's a verticality there by the defender. If almost anything, Drew, it's a no call. What's your thought here? What are you looking at?
Hold on, I've got to go back and see one thing, Brian, and I can tell you exactly where is the official at. Let's see where the official is.
Okay, there's one official that's coming up on the right side here.
So all right. So the official, Brian, I don't know if you can see my mouse over here. The official is actually on this side. The baseline official is over here on this side. The center official is right here. So
and you can see the other official. Where does Mo Carter? You can see Mo Williams.
That's the trio right here. This is the trio. Right. He has nothing to do with this call. He should have nothing to do with this call. I'm going to referee school on you right now. So now we don't know where the whistle comes from. So this referee over here should have a clean look in and see that this is incidental contact. This is a nothing right here. This referee here does not have the angle to call an offensive foul. He could possibly call a defensive foul, but once again, he should not be calling this. This is this official's primary call.
But he's even obstructed. He's obstructed, isn't he?
Well, it depends. You can't see him. You don't know if hopefully he's moved to improve where this player right here is not in his view. So we just talked about this from officiating point of view.
Okay.
And there,
really on his own. I feel like he falls on his own. But they called the foul on Jackson State. That's the thing. They called the foul on Jackson State.
That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at. And then right here, you've got there was no advantage gain. There was no body contact. Both of them jumped vertical and
on the rebound.
And the Jackson player just out jumped the Alcorn player, in my opinion. So it looks like this official is the one who made the call, just based on their on their reactions. So that's a tough call to come from the C official.
It is, and especially from an obstructive view. And he called it on Jackson State. The Jackson State player is the one on the floor. you know, what's the call? I'd love to be able to go in and look at the play call and see, did he call a offensive? He called an offensive foul, obviously, but it's just
Which is why Mo, and I saw no illegal screens or anything else like that that could have been subjected to a whistle on that play, unless there was a play away from the ball that we were not able to see in that.
Now I will say this. For Mo Carter, I keep saying Mo Carter. For Mo Williams, sorry, Mo Carter.
Williams.
For Mo Williams to go postal at that point in the game with a minute left, that means that there must have been like bad calls happening throughout the game, and that was the last straw. Right? That had to be the last straw. That couldn't have been like the first time a bad call or his player or there was a situation where he thought his player didn't get a call that they deserve, right? There's no way you react that way when that's your first or second time. If that's the third time and fourth time that something like that has happened, yeah, he's going ape S.
Kelvin, I don't think he really shielded the defender off, because once again, you did not see any space created in the advantage game by the bent forearm right there. That is a natural move. As long as you are within that same space, that same vertical plane, that is not a call.
Right.
And you're talking to someone who has officiated at both the high school and the collegiate level.
Now, I don't know. Somebody just said, D-Lob said, if nobody get ejected, the game went to OT. The score is 78-71. I mean, Alcorn is up 7 points at that point in the ballgame. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know where you think that's going. I don't know. That's a hell of an assumption that game is going to overtime. Alcorn's up 7. I mean, but it's still just a 2 or 3 possession game, though, and anything can happen in the final minute of a ball game. I mean, if I'm reading that right, it's 78-71. Yeah, see, I thought the defender from Alcorn did a great job of going straight up. Now I'm watching even the feet at the bottom. Did he kick his leg out? Maybe is it the leg kick underneath the groin? Is that what the call might have been for? I don't, that's interesting. We're gonna have to dig deep into the play-by-play. If somebody in the chat you guys can go dig into the play-by-play, I'd love to know, is the call officially on the Jackson State ball handler, or was it somebody else? I'd love to know what the official call was that was made. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then of course, I saw somebody post earlier obviously, Drew, have you paid attention a little bit to what happened with the UAPB women earlier in the week? And that situation, I think you saw the video. You saw the video of that, right?
Serious internal issues with that.
Yeah, serious internal issues where you have.
We will not replay the video on here.
No, I don't. Well, no, we don't have the video even queued. But just, I mean, internal issues that you got players fighting in the last moments of a game. And I think they even lost yesterday too. So the losing streak for UAPB continues. Okay. Let's move off of this for a minute, because we got to keep moving here. We got a lot to get to. Okay. Let's talk about that HBCU Invitational. Again, why bring this up? Well, because we need content. But two, most of our HBCUs are not going to be playing postseason. And this is where it's time. We're moving to that space where it's getting time to start creating a postseason invitational opportunity for teams to play. Especially if the NIT, which now has created, or basically they've gotten rid of any conference ties or affiliations that they used to create an opportunity for the runner-up, or I should say the conference champion that doesn't win. So the regular season conference champion that doesn't win the tournament had a quote-unquote automatic bid to the NIT. Those days are gone. Right? So
correct.
If I go off the net rating, RPI, conference net rating, short of Jackson State losing the conference tournament, I don't see anybody getting into the NIT from out of an HBCU. So that's why there's a need. There have been other invitational tournaments in the past, and I think this would be a very good thing. Now, so here's the idea. The idea is, say, how would you rank these teams? Let's take 8 teams. Let's take the best 8 teams from the HBCUs, and let's have a postseason tournament. So that's where this comes from. That's where this idea comes from. So for Division I, we're going to use net. We're going to use the net rating that the selection committee, Dr. Charles McClellan, is the chair of the NCAA basketball committee. That's the net rating that he and that committee uses to determine which teams are going to go into the NCAA and get seeded. So what we put together is a ranking of the top 8. And this is current standings. So if you were to just go look at the current net standings right now, this is what it would look like. It would look like Southern University has the best net rating among all HBCUs. Now, what the net rating does not take into account, it does not take into account non-Division I wins. So all of these NAIA Division II schools that Division I teams get wins and count on their record on their web pages, those don't count. Only thing that counts is your wins and losses versus Division I teams. So your top 8 teams consist of Southern, who I believe has 2.
And this is accurate as of yesterday. As of yesterday, correct?
This is accurate as of this morning.
Okay.
As of this morning. So
right,
Southern
through yesterday's game.
Yeah, through yesterday's game. So Southern University, the highest ranking, and actually it's kind of interesting because Southern actually, by virtue of their loss to Grambling, and even their loss on Monday, when I did this last week, they've dropped some 20-something net points. They were inside of the top 200. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, that covers up too much, Drew. I'd go back to the other format, the other layout.
Yeah, somebody had said make it larger, so I was trying to make it larger.
Well, the only way, okay, so if we make it larger, we have to do it that way. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so okay, so what it gives us is Southern at 1, Norfolk State comes in at 2. You can see their net rating. So Southern and Norfolk State have the 2 best net ratings, both of them inside of the top 250. Once you start getting outside of that, this is where the rest of the teams start falling. You see North Carolina Central comes in at 3 with 10 and 11. Tennessee State, I thought that was kind of interesting. Tennessee State out of the OVC, 13 and 12. I believe I looked this up. Tennessee State is currently, I think, 5th in the OVC right now, 4th or 5th in the OVC. Howard University, 10-15. Texas Southern, just a little bit behind them, but a 10-14 record. Jackson State. Jackson State is 12-15, 285. And then Grambling. Grambling has actually been the biggest mover of the week because Grambling just a week ago was like 310 or something about 300 or something. So they've moved up in the net rating plus 22. So Grambling State moving into the top 8. Southern still holding on to a thin share of number 1. Now, teams that I say bubble teams because these are teams like, again, if we were talking a top 8 tournament, obviously if you had 2 teams go to the NCAA, well, that opens up 2 spots. So 2 of these following teams would end up getting into that tournament. You've got Alcorn there, Alcorn who they were winless in conference play, right? But they're 9-17. South Carolina State, that's a team that you got to start paying attention to as the MEAC tournament is around the corner. Alabama State, followed by Delaware State. And interesting, Bethune-Cookman is in the hunt, but they're kind of out of the picture a little bit. Thoughts, Drew, on this? How would you seed a 1 through 8 if you were doing a tournament invitational? Who would look like your 1 and 2 seed right now? First off, if you had to handicap and say who's your conference champion and the MEAC and SWAC, and then go from there, who's your 1 and 2 seed after that?
All right. If you ask me, in the MEAC, I'm pulling Norfolk out and giving them the MEAC title. And as of right now, I am probably going to pull Grambling out.
I agree.
On the men's side and give them the SWAC title. So with that being said, that makes Southern your number 1 and Central your number 2. And then I would pretty much follow everything from there.
Interesting question here by Edwin. And Edwin asks us, I would question the fan support of HBCU basketball at an all-time low. I would say, what are you basing that on, Edwin?
I mean, you can't base that on the Chris Paul. You can't base that on the tournament up there in New Jersey.
Right. What are you basing that on? Why do you say that it's at an all-time low? I don't think it's at an all-time low.
See, one thing, Edwin, in my opinion, in order for this tournament to succeed, you may have to take it to a place that's starving for HBCU basketball, like Vegas was, like Jersey is, because there are no HBCU. Just my humble opinion.
That's interesting.
I don't know if something like this would fly in Atlanta, in a New Orleans, or.
But that's where your largest base is. Why wouldn't it thrive?
Even in a Charlotte, because and I'll tell you one thing. I've been in Atlanta for the SIAC tournament. Numbers aren't that great. I've been in Birmingham for the SWAC tournament. Depending on who is there, the numbers aren't that great for the SWAC tournament. Brian, you and I have done the GCAC tournament. That was a decent draw in New Orleans when we were in New Orleans. But Xavier, who was in the GCAC at the time, was in contention on the men's and the women's side. But we were in New Orleans. We've also been in Jacksonville for the GCAC tournament. And in Jacksonville, you know, when the home team wasn't playing, the crowds were not all that great. So, yeah, you may be right that it needs to be somewhere where you're going to get a large local following, but who are going to be those teams? Atlanta doesn't have any Division I HBCUs, so that would be my one reason for possibly not doing this in Atlanta, because there are no Division I HBCUs if you're going to have the Division I tournament. Just some food for thought there, Brian, on some of these possible locations.
Okay, let's move over to a women, because we did the same thing for the women. The women also use the net rating for their tournament, and based on the women net rating, and I can tell you, hold on, I think, hold on, did I? Okay, so here's the, Kelvin said Mobile. There's an idea. Mobile. That's interesting. And I messed up my spreadsheet, Drew, because I think I don't pay attention to the net rating. The net rating is wrong for the women, because technically, I actually have those numbers. I didn't update the graphic for women, but I'll tell you what the net rating is. The standings are correct, though. So Jackson State, hold on. This is even messed up in a couple other ways. So hold on. I'm going to move off of this then.
We know Jackson State is the one. That's all we need to know with this. The order.
You
didn't mess up that much.
Well, yeah, what I messed up is I messed up the win-loss and the net. I didn't. I was so busy trying to get this put together. But I can tell you that I got the teams down. For some reason, I didn't change the wins-losses. So the order of the teams is correct. If you look at the rankings, you have Jackson State as the one. Their net rating is actually 100 in the women, okay, which is pretty good. Norfolk State is number 2. Their record is 19-5. Jackson State's record is 16-6. Norfolk State is 19-5. Their net rating is 124. North Carolina A&T is 3, 14-8. Did North Carolina A&T win today? Somebody tell me. I know we got some Aggies. Jeff Roberts, did A&T's women win today? Because right now they're 14-8. According to when I did this morning, if they won, that would put them at 15-8. Them boys says yes, they did win. UAPB, despite losing twice this week, they're still coming in at number 4, a net rating of 170, 12-13 overall. Southern comes in at 5, 10-14 record. Their net rating is outside of the top 200. It's 216. They had 1 win and 1 loss this past week. Obviously, the loss was yesterday. The win was Monday. Grambling comes in at number 6. Grambling, their record is 14-8, net rating 221. They're 2-0 this past week. Maryland Eastern Shore is a team that's coming into the top 8 net ratings with a 10-12 record, 2-0 over the past week, net rating of 228. And Howard University dropped a couple of spots from when I did this a week ago. They're actually 10-14, net rating 237. Outside of the top 8, Bethune-Cookman, Coppin State, and Alabama A&M. So now, this is why I said I think going into the tournament, Jackson State, Norfolk State are going to be the favorites to win the MEAC, the SWAC, and the MEAC. A&T is that team that A&T could get a bid into the NIT because of the strength of the CIAA women. And it's somehow if they beat Stony Brook, which I think that game comes up in another week, that's a big showdown for North Carolina A&T. But the number 1 seed, actually A&T fell to 3. They lost a double overtime game earlier in the week. So
if A&T gets in, Brian, you're probably looking at Southern being your number 1, because I expect UAPB to continue on their losing streak.
I agree with you.
as of right now, and I'm probably putting Maryland Eastern Shore number 2, one of those MEAC teams, either Maryland Eastern Shore or Howard number 2 over Grambling.
See, I would put Grambling in as the one. I think Grambling is the team that's trending in the right direction. You know, Grambling 2-0 over the past week. I'm not sure they play. I'm not sure whether Grambling actually plays tomorrow. But given the fact that they just played Southern, usually your travel partners, you might not play a game.
You take the Monday off usually.
Yeah, you would take that Monday off if you're playing your travel partner. And then I think there's some teams that aren't listed in here that might find themselves into an 8 by virtue of maybe making it to the semifinals of the conference, maybe an Alcorn State women, dare I say maybe even a FAMU women, teams that are kind of sitting like 5, 6 in their division in the conference, but somehow might work their way into, a spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Before we move over to Division 2, I wanted to hit a couple of comments, Brian.
Yeah, and again, I want to apologize because, like I said, the actual records and the net rankings for that women was incorrect, but the team positions and standings were correct. So just want to clarify that one more time if anybody just happened to be jumping in and looking at it and not really knowing what was going on there. Go ahead.
All right, Russell. Tournament has to occur in March and has to be concluded before the start of the Final Four if it is going to be a postseason basketball tournament, which is what Brian is proposing. And that is by NCAA rule. It has to be in March. It has to conclude before the conclusion of the beginning of the Final Four. So just keep that in mind. And Michael Road Dog Reed is ready to get the bus going to one of these places, Brian. And he's giving us a whole bunch of cities: Jacksonville, Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte, New Orleans, Houston, would all make great cities in the South to set up a HBCU Holiday Basketball Classic. New York, Philly, DC, and Boston could work up north. And I'm gonna throw out there LA.
We're not talking a Holiday Classic.
Right in the West.
Mike,
we're not talking Holiday Classic.
Yeah, this is a postseason tournament that we're proposing, not necessarily a Holiday Classic. So I just want to clarify that. This is a now. Where are any of those cities in play and good site cities to have something like this? Again, I think
there's another question also.
Yeah.
Are any of those cities where the CIAA is already going to be at, either on the women's or the men's side?
That's a good point.
Because you can't, I mean, you don't want to do it if Atlanta is already hosting a opening round or a regional. Doesn't matter if it's at the same time or not. Those people will get basketball fatigue. Also, basketball fatigue if they're hosting a conference tournament, a Birmingham. Would you take a tournament like this back to Birmingham after they've just hosted the SWAC tournament? Basketball fatigue for your fans.
Yeah, that's a good question.
In their local market.
I think there are some HBCU campuses which have some nice arenas that I think would really be great fits for these, whether you're for your Division I or your non-Division I. I just think within the state, I think, for example, I think of Florida Memorial has a good basketball arena that would fit this. Florida A&M has a good basketball arena that would fit this. Xavier in Louisiana has a good basketball arena. In Texas, actually, I think Southern Southern has a very good basketball, and I'm thinking cities where, you know,
you've got a large base.
You got a good base, but you can also draw people. Like people would want to go there.
Texas Southern.
Texas Southern, Prairie View, even that arena would be suitable. Alabama State would be an on-campus arena that and I think you would have to do something like
Huntsville has a good arena. I don't know about the draw to the area because of traveling in. There's no major airport there, but as far as the arena, yes. That's the other thing. How easy is it for people to fly into?
Yeah. To answer the question about spring break, I don't think you can factor in spring again because of the fact that you have to get this in before the Final Four week. So that leaves
they don't factor conference tournaments with spring break because some of these tournaments occur during spring break.
That's true. That's true. So the only options you really have are the opening weekend, and I don't think you want to do it during the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. I think the most suitable week to do it is the week when it's down to the Sweet 16, because that's where you have. I think there are probably fewer viewers. This is just me. I don't have any numbers to back this up, but I think there's less interest at the Sweet 16 Elite 8 level than there is in the opening weekend of the tournament, the first 4 days, and the Final Four. You know what I'm saying, Drew? I think if you're going to squeeze something in, you got to squeeze it in that middle period. Yeah?
Yeah. But Brian, I can tell you this, especially before you get to the Division II and the NAIA level, that something like this is closer to fruition than you may think.
Oh, I think it's. I
can tell you for a fact because I'm on a committee that's exploring this idea.
Well, hey, there you go. I'm feeding info to the committee.
And if any of y'all have a sponsor out there, have them get in touch with me because there have been some discussions amongst cities and among sponsors that we've been pushing this idea with.
Yeah. Okay. What's more, now the NCAA obviously provides a metric that you can use. Now, the net rating. Now, it's a little more complicated when you move to the non-Division I because there is an NAIA tournament. And, that NAIA tournament, you're going to have a few HBCUs in it. You traditionally will have a Langston. You probably will have a Xavier that traditionally has been in it the last few years. Tougaloo, Rust, Talladega. I'm just thinking of schools that have been in the NAIA tournament over the last 2 to 3, 4 seasons, Drew, or at least post-COVID, maybe even the year before COVID. So this gets a little more interesting in saying, how do you evaluate and rate all these teams? There is a metric available that rates all college basketball teams. And so that's what we kind of used as the, I guess what I want to say, that's what I use as sort of the benchmark for this idea. And so with that said, let me introduce the rankings for what we'll call the Division II / NAIA, or as we like to call non-Division I, top 8. Okay. And so for a top 8 of NAIA schools,
NAIA D2.
The NAIA D2 schools, This is a rating that used 1,000 college basketball programs, regardless. That's from Division I, Division II, NAIA, junior college,
JUCO.
all of them. JUCO, yeah, all of them here are part of that 1,000 team metric. And so this is where we get Langston coming in with a record of 27-2 at the number 1 spot. Now, Lincoln of Missouri, you may be like, who? The Lincoln, Missouri Blue Bears, out of the Division II school in the
that would be Blue Tigers, Brian.
I'm sorry, Blue Tigers. I thought it was Blue Bears Livingstone. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Blue Tigers. The MIAA.
One of the bitty Tigers out there.
Right. The MIAA
of all shades and colors.
One of the tougher Division II conferences. And so you see Lincoln, Missouri with a 14-13 record rated at number 2 you might scratch your head and be like, huh? Yeah, that's why, because of who is there in their conference. Another school that also has an advantage because of their conference, West Virginia State. They have an 18-17 record, coming in at number 3. West Virginia State plays in the Mountain East. All right. Their Division II school. Winston-Salem State comes in at number 4. What I find interesting about Winston-Salem State is they got a 13-5 conference record, but when the CIAA tournament starts, they're actually the 3 seed because they finished 3rd in the South Division. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Number 5 is Benedict, the only Division II HBCU ranked in the top 25.
But the number 3 seed in the SIAC.
Number 3 seed in the SIAC, right. Another one of those
East,
right.
East, Brian.
Yeah, right. Sitting behind Clark and Morehouse, who are the 1 and 2. So another one of those anomalies that you kind of make you scratch your head and say, okay, Benedict is ranked in the top 25. I think 22 is what I last saw them at, but 3rd in their division. Clark Atlanta, who will take home the number 1 spot in the SIC East, 23-4, followed by Claflin, who was tied for 1st with Fayetteville State. Claflin is 7, Fayetteville State is 8. And then what's interesting, Drew, is really that next group of 10 teams. That next group of 10 teams is interesting because you got schools like Miles, who finished 1st in the West, 20-6 record. Lincoln, PA, from out of the CIAA, finished 1st in the North Division. Morehouse, 18-20 record. Talladega, 21-7. But they are 3rd in the GCAC. Teams like Virginia Union and Virginia State, who have sub 500 and 500 records, still come in a little bit better than a Xavier team that's 21-7 and 2nd in the Red River?
Correct.
Stillman, a 23-6 first place team in the GCAC. Stillman, 19-8, second place team currently in the Southern States. Florida Memorial, 21-7, second place in the Sun Conference. This is the tournament, Drew, that I think would be the most fun and appealing. I think it'd be the most stressful to try to put the best 8 teams in. But I think once you got 8 teams, I think this is the one that would be the most fun.
I agree with you, Brian. Let's pull out the teams who will not be participating. Let's pull Langston out. They're not going to be in. They're not going to be in this tournament, no matter if they win or lose the Solar. They're going to get into the NAIA.
Right.
Benedict and Clark will get into the NCAAs.
You think so?
So both of them rank currently in number 2 and number 3 in the South.
Okay.
So that they get in. So that's 3 teams that's gone. You're going to lose a CIAA team. Don't know which one it's going to be. You got 3 of them on there. If you ask me right now, well, we just got to talk about this when we talk about the CIAA. I would have to lean Claflin. So you've already lost 4 teams right there. West Virginia State is currently ranked number 10 in the, I believe it's the East Atlantic. They're number 10 in the Atlantic. So they would have to get on a run and do some damage in the conference tournament and have some teams ahead of them lose. So you could possibly lose a 5th team, Brian, that being West Virginia State.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the question, Brian. Since we have NCAA and NAIA, do you do 4 and 4 or do you do best 8?
Ooh, that's a great one. I know in baseball what we were witness to what the baseball
we did. It was 4 and 4.
Yeah, we did 4 and 4.
And with the two champions coming together.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like Karen Griffin. Yeah, I think best 8. I think again, if I'm evaluating because the NAIA and Division II play a similar schedule in terms of the number of teams and number of games, and when they start their season at the same time, I'm gonna say the best 8.
All right, let's take the top 4 NCAAs based on those metrics that I gave you. Who's left?
Okay.
You put Lincoln and Missouri in.
Yep.
Let's assume West Virginia State is in because they don't move up enough. That's 2.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have 1 CIAA. We don't know which one, but we know we're gonna have 1 CIAA in there.
Right. So either
the question now becomes right. The question now becomes: is there a second CIAA team, or do you go get a SIAC team, be it Miles or Morehouse? Assuming one of them does not become the SIAC champion.
I think you go.
That's your 4. That's your 4.
One.
That's your 4 on that side.
Right.
Now let's flip to the NAIA, and then we'll see if any of those teams that we had left out are better than the top 4 NAIA team. Langston is gone. We've already said that. Tougaloo probably gone. They're probably in the Talladega is probably gone. They're probably in the NAIAs, which means your next NAIA team based on this is Xavier. Xavier's a coin flip.
There they are.
Okay. So
Tougaloo is a coin flip as well.
Exactly. Tougaloo becomes a coin flip. So that leaves you Steelman, Florida Memorial. One team you do not have on here who needs to be considered NAIA is Texas College. I don't know where they wound up at, but you definitely have to include Texas College in your numbers.
Yeah.
So if Xavier and Tougaloo wind up getting in, you have to go best 8. If those 2 are left over, you could actually have a competitive 4v4.
See what I mean? tough to figure out. The guidelines for the selection committee would have to be they'd have to really set that and know what they're doing. I think I still like best 8. I like best 8. I think if you because if you look at the numbers and just the rating, I think the fact that you have some 20-win teams that are rated lower. Let me see. Outside of Langston, let me see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So actually, all 8 is Division 2, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, you now that I see that, Drew, you might be onto something where you have to go 4 and 4. But I would try. I would try to set your.
Go ahead.
I was just saying I would try to set your metrics so that it does the best job of calculating everything and using this as a model for your best 8. I mean, it's not look at Langston. If Langston can be 428 and have the best ranking ahead of 7 Division II programs. Actually, if you count Miles, Lincoln, Morehouse, that's Langston being 7, 8, 9, being higher than 10, being higher than the next 10 schools, which are all Division II schools. It's possible. It's possible.
It is possible.
Yeah. Let's show the women. I do the same thing here with the women at this level. And Fayetteville State is the top dog right now in Division II NAIA women's, and they should be. Now, I don't know, like I said, I don't know what everybody's rankings are and what the different rankings are out there, but here's a Fayetteville State team that has won. They're on a 10-game winning streak heading into the CIAA. 24-2 record, 17-1 in conference, 11-1 record in the South Division. That is your premier team right now. West Virginia State comes in at number 2. You see them out of the Mountain East, 17-9 record. Virginia State comes in at number 3, 22-4 out of the CIAA. The numerical anomaly in this, Drew, is Lincoln of Missouri for the women. And they are, as you can see, a 6-20 ball club with a higher rating than a Rust team that is 25-3. Not by a lot, but a little bit. And a significant number over even Miles, who is 20-5. That's the power of your conference right there, without a doubt. Langston's women, 22-8, come in at number 7. Elizabeth City State, the defending CIAA champions, come in at number 8, 18-10. Outside of the top 10, you get more interesting teams, Drew. Another top 10 that'll make you scratch your head a little bit. You got Savannah State, who's currently 18-5. They won they clinched the number 1 spot in the SIAC East. Kentucky State, who has a shot at winning. I think they have a shot at tying the West, maybe even winning the West. They're the number 2 seed right now. 18-7. Tuskegee's 14-8. Virginia Union 17-11. Lincoln, PA 12-15. Bluefield State makes an appearance 14-12. Claflin 16-10. Here's the real kicker, Drew. Nearly 200 some odd points away from Rust, you find Philander Smith, 21-6.
Always gives Russ hell.
Number 2 seed in the GCAC tournament. Xavier, women, we know they are a staple in the NAIA tournament under Coach Bo Browder. 23-6, but their rating comes in at 850, almost 200 points behind Langston. Another NAIA in the top 8. Fisk University, who's the 3 seed in the GCAC, comes in at 18-10. Again, I think you wouldn't invite Lincoln, Missouri, so I would kind of move them out of that invitational. But it's a little more. You've got 2 NAIA schools in the top 8. And I'd still would have to do best 8, Drew. I'd have to do best 8, even on this level, best 8.
So let's look at the rankings. And I'm trying to pull up the NAIA rankings while I'm going through this, so I can look and see who's ranked and who we need to go out. And all right, here we go, NAIA ratings. Let's start off with the NAIA programs. Nationally ranked NAIA, top 25. Do we have any HBCUs in the top 25? That would be a negative. There are no HBCUs in the top 25 of the NAIA poll, which means, and I believe, okay, so GCAC is going to get 2 bids because they're now gone to a double bid league. So Russ won the regular season. They're gone.
Right.
That probably means Philander is gone also. Because even if they don't win the tournament, the chances are they're going to be the runner-up. Rusty is receiving votes on the NAIA side. Xavier has to win their conference tournament. They're probably not going to win their conference tournament, considering that they are not in the top 25. We could leave Xavier and Fisk on the consideration board. Fayetteville State, West Virginia State are under consideration for the NCAAs. They haven't rated them 1 through 10 yet, but Fayetteville State is on the list and West Virginia State is on the list. So we have to see how those 2 play out. Miles is also on the list. So let's pull those 3 out. So we've lost 4 of those top 6 that you have on the board right there, Brian. We're going to throw Lincoln, Missouri out because of the statistical anomaly. So 5, so that leaves Virginia State on the NCAA side. Virginia State, Elizabeth City State, a possible Savannah State, should they not win the SIAC, and either Kentucky State or Tuskegee. Those are your top 5 right now on the NCAA side. NAIA, it's almost impossible right now because you really only have 2 teams, Xavier and Fisk. So right now, women definitely look like a best 8 scenario.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep looking at this. We'll look into this one more week, because next week, obviously, we'll know
who's in.
We'll
start to know.
We'll start to know. There's still when we come back out of the break coming up here, we're going to look at these conference tournaments that are beginning this week and give you guys a first look at the matchups, potential upsets, just some things to kind of pay attention to as the NAIA and Division II postseason tournaments are about to begin. So let's step away for a short moment. Come back on the other side of this break. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Block College Sports Network. We're going to take a short break, real short break, and we'll be back right after these words.
We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban Nerdcon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include the Sci-Fi Sisters, Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager Tim Russ, and from the Fairly Odd Parents Gary L. Gray.
What up, y'all? It's Gary Gray. Check it out. I need you to do something for me. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for Urban Nerdcon. It's going to be lit. Okay. Our heroes, our villains, everyone's con. See y'all there.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D here. I hope you guys got a little bit of a taste and like the idea of that postseason invitational basketball tournament that we kind of put together here. Obviously a lot has to be worked on with it. But send us your thoughts. You can hit us up, obviously, on social media. Let us know what you thought of it. You can find us on Twitter. You can obviously find me at DRB365. There's Drew at BCSN Drew. You can obviously in the comments section on YouTube or Facebook, however you might be watching the show, you can send us your thoughts on that. All right, let's talk about conference basketball. Let's get ready to talk some basketball. Tournament time is around the corner. All right.
Stop.
I know it's a little rough. I get it.
A little.
A little.
That is very
rough.
Right.
Let's start over in the NAIA tournaments, divisions that are happening. Let's start with these guys right here. The two-time SAC champions. And again, hopefully you guys got a chance to watch the interview with Coach Chris Wright last week. Absolutely love Coach Wright. Coach Wright, great interview. Always have a great time talking to him. I saw somebody say that he was recently on another show with Doc Holliday. I think Chuck said that. So hopefully that was a good interview as well. Hopefully it wasn't better than the one I did last week. But anyway, I like Doc. Doc does a good job. So great to see that Coach Wright is getting some love on some other networks. Absolutely a great coach doing some great things. So the
man, I like that suit he got on in that picture, man.
And this one right here?
Yes.
Okay.
I need one of those.
So here is the tournament format for the Sooner Athletic Conference. Now their tournament begins Thursday, February 29th at the host school locations. And then from there, they move into semifinal and final action. They allow the teams to travel the weekend. So I think the 4th is what day is the 4th? Is a Monday or a Tuesday?
That's Monday. That's Monday.
Yeah, so they allow the teams to travel over the weekend. The Final Four and the finals are in Fort Worth, Texas. I don't know which school. There might be a school that's hosting that, but Yeah. So as you can see on the men's side of the bracket.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I thought the Sooner Athletic Conference was all Oklahoma schools. That's why that looks odd to me. And then it will be sponsored by Oklahoma Ford dealers in Texas. I'm just saying, man.
That is kind of funny, isn't it? But I think Wayland Baptist. I think Wayland Baptist is in Texas, and I mean, there's a couple of Texas schools right there. Actually, Wayland Baptist in Plainview, Texas. SAGU, Southern Assemblies of God. They're in Waxahachie, Texas. So, hey, it is what it is, right? Oklahoma Ford dealers sponsoring the Sooner Athletic Tournament. The Final Four is in Fort Worth, Texas. So, hey, it's all good. As you can see, Langston at the top of the screen, top left, their game is on the 29th, 8 p.m. Thursday. They are hosting Central Christian. They win that game, they will move into the semifinals on that Monday. Now, the possible matchup will be the only team in conference to beat them is SAGU, who is the 3 seed. And that
and SAGU beat them at home. These
at their
split
place.
the home, split the home and home. Each team winning on their own court.
Right. Okay. Moving over to the women. There you can see the standings for the women. Shout out to the Langston women who finished the regular season number 2. The big challenge for them is they've got an unbeaten John Brown that finished the conference season 22-0. So that's pretty impressive. And if I'm not mistaken, Wayland Baptist had been the team that had kind of, that had run that conference the last few years prior to this season. There you can see the tournament bracket for them. They host Southwestern Christian. So a big day at Langston as the 1 seed men host, and then the number 2 seed women host. I think the semifinal potential matchup between Langston and Wayland Baptist should be a great game. And you said
assuming SAGU doesn't upset and get into that game is one of the teams that defeated Langston in conference.
Right. That's a good point. You said the Sooner is a 2-bid league, right?
I believe so, because let's see. Let me see how many teams are in the Sooner. You have to have, I believe, 10 to be a 2-bid league.
Okay, so no, they're not 10.
So it's single bid conference.
Say again.
I say so that would make them a single bid conference. No, they've got more than 10. They only take 8 to the tournament.
Oh, okay. So it is a potential 2-bid league. Okay. So
they've got 12 teams in the conference.
Okay. So so there's Langston. There's an opportunity if they can get to the championship.
So Langston's in, men are in, and the women just need to get to the championship game, assuming John Brown is their opponent.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, John Brown unbeaten thus far. Okay. The next conference that we're going to bring up, the GCAC. Let's go right to the GCAC. The GCAC, which begins on Thursday, February 29th, runs through Sunday, March 3rd. All games are going to be at Stillman College, which is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
So here's the next anomaly. The GCAC tournament is being played at the college of a team who is a future member.
Right, because Stillman, you said Stillman will be leaving the
Southern States for
Southern
the
States
GCAC
for the
in July.
GCAC. Yeah, July.
July 1.
Yeah,
But they get the tournament a year early before they get there. I wonder if that's what enticed them to leave.
Oh God, I can't imagine that be the only reason.
Hey, we gonna pay for this move, y'all. We gonna get y'all the basketball tournament.
Yeah, well, there you go. Now, yeah, if you're talking, hey, that covered some exit fees, then maybe so. Now you're talking some financial. Okay, so there's the standings for the men. Tougaloo finished the regular season 15-3 for the second consecutive year. Tougaloo wins the regular season title. Philander Smith 14-4, just a game behind in the conference standings. Talladega and Fisk round out the top 4.
Okay, I need somebody to explain something to me.
Okay.
How does Talladega only play 14 conference games and everybody else plays 18?
Look, it is uneven.
So some teams played 17. UVI played 16.
I was going to say Wiley played 17.
But 17 is a far cry from 14, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got to ask the question. Anyway.
Good question. Yep. Okay. So here's the bracket. Here's what the bracket. Now the reason I showed you the standings is because pull this off of the website. They don't have the teams filled in yet. So, but it's just standard format. Obviously, for a 10-team field, the 8 and 9 will play on the Wednesday, the 28th, as well as the 7-10. So you'll call that the opening round. Then the actual quarterfinals will start on the 29th. Now, the GCAC is one of those leagues that likes to give a day off in between. They've traditionally done this for the last few years. So March 1st is their day off. They'll probably do some. Well, no, I take that back.
There's some games on March 1st.
Okay, so what it is
they're splitting the games.
Yeah, that's what threw me off. Okay, so let me focus here on the men's because I'm looking at the men's bracket. So that's what they do. They split the men and the women in the opening quarters.
Half and half.
Yeah, half and half. So you get the 1 seed and the 2 seed playing on Thursday. The 4-5 and the 3-6 matchups are on Friday.
Right.
Yeah,
4, 5, 3, 6.
So the rest advantage goes to the top 2 seeds. That's basically what that is. Then you get to the semifinals, which in this case is on Saturday. And then you have the championship game on Sunday. Busy day for the GCAC teams. That's what the women's standings look like. So it's Rust and Philander Smith. Seems like a familiar 1-2 from a year ago.
So Russ is already in. Already has an NAIA bid.
Right. You got to wonder what the tiebreaker, Fisk and Philander. Tiebreaker, both of them finished 15-3. I don't know if it's all based on head-to-head or maybe whatever the next tiebreaker might be. But Philander is 2. Fisk is 3. And, of course, that's significant, again, for the rest that you get. Very similar format as the men, but the times are a little bit different. Obviously. And I think all of these games will be broadcast on the HBCU Plus app. So those of you who have that app and you want to watch these games, you can watch these games.
I hope they have play-by-play for the tournament.
Yeah, be interested. Be good to have play-by-play to give these kids some proper acknowledgement, and just for the sake of the broadcast itself, it'd be good to have that. So that'll be a fun league. Any predictions you want to make there, Drew, for the GCAC men and women?
On the men, I'm looking at Talladega coming out. And on the women's side, what more could you expect in an epic Russ Philander final?
Another Russ Philander final?
I don't see any reason why it won't be those two in the finals.
Yeah. Although Maya Buchanan and Fisk are always an X factor.
She's won Player of the Week 2 times this year. Nationally, not conference, nationally. Twice.
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if she doesn't win Player of the Year in the GCAC again.
Yeah, well, we've seen them give it to other people who
we have
when no other qualified people. We have seen that, Brian.
That has happened.
Despite season accolades, the Kwanzaa love them.
Preach. All right. Okay. Next conference, the Sun Conference. Florida Memorial is a part of the Sun Conference. Now, the Sun Conference, the way the Sun Conference, their tournament begins this upcoming week. Florida Memorial men, they are the 2 seed in the tournament. The women are not in the tournament, so I'm not gonna. There's no, and the bracket is not even set up because the way they do it in the Sun, the host school. Well, I'll let you explain this, Drew, because you're familiar with this. I'm gonna step away for a quick second. I need to do something here, but go ahead and explain how the Sun Conference works.
All right, seeds 1 and 2 get a first round bye. 3 will play 6, and 4 will play 5. 3 and 4 will host 5 and 6 on their own home sites. That will occur early this week. Then those winners will all migrate over to the site of the top seed, that being St. Thomas, who will host the semifinals and the finals on the men's side, with St. Thomas being the number 1 seed. So St. Thomas will play the winner of Kaiser and Weber International, while Florida Memorial will play the winner of Ave Maria and Southeastern in the semifinals. And then the finals will be held on the next day. Those of you all who do not know, both Florida Memorial and St. Thomas are both located in Miami Gardens, Florida. So despite Florida Memorial having to potentially face St. Thomas on their own court, they can neutralize that home court advantage because the 2 schools are literally around the corner from each other. So the Florida Memorial fans can just go to walk down the street to St. Thomas and fill up St. Thomas's gym. So home court advantage, hometown advantage, no, for St. Thomas versus Florida Memorial. And of course, I'm pulling for the Lions to come out of this. And this is a 1-bid league. So conference tournament winner gets the automatic.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, Drew. Appreciate that. Next conference with a tournament going on this week, the Red River Athletic Conference. The Red River, which hosts a few HBCUs. Houston, Tillotson. I got 5. Houston, Tillotson, Jarvis Christian, Paul Quinn, Texas College, and Xavier, Louisiana.
That would be my bad math. My math wasn't mathing.
That's all right. So now for the Red River, let's start with the men, because the men, even though their tournament starts March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, for the men and women, they're going to be held at LSU Alexandria. That is the host school. The Red River uses an 8-team format, single elimination. Obviously, very similar to 3 days. So that's a busy day on day one. I wonder how are you going to fit? Let's see. That's 4. That's 8 games in. That's 8 games in one day. What time you think they're starting that? 8 games in one day, Drew? Do the math.
9 a.m. 9 a.m., bro.
9, 11, 1.
11. You gotta go. You gotta go 2.5.
5. Ooh, good Lord.
If you go 2.5, it's gonna be a beast.
I don't know how they're doing all that at the same site, Drew. That math doesn't even count to me.
Yeah,
I mean, you're starting at
that's 16 hours. That means your championship game starts at 9, 11, 1, 3.
Somebody's
5,
playing at
7,
9 o'clock at
9.
night.
That would be 11 o'clock at night.
Ooh, that's something's not right there. I don't. Maybe I don't have that information that I wrote down right. I don't know. I don't think you can.
Not in 3 days. It almost has to be a 4th day.
Yeah, I don't. But I did anything, and this information I just pulled off the website, off the Red River Athletic Conference. I didn't see that they were starting on the 29th or that they were extending past the 3rd. But we'll find out. And I say that because the league is not done yet. They're still playing games today, or not today, tomorrow. I think tomorrow or Tuesday.
Tomorrow and Tuesday.
Yeah, those are the last 2 days of the regular season. So, matter of fact, Xavier, Louisiana has a matchup against Texas College on Tuesday. I don't think it'll. Well, I mean, you look at the standings right there, and what's at stake for both teams is that 2 spot, because, and it's based on win percentage, really, because Xavier has played 20 conference games, Texas College has played 21. This is the last game of the of this. Look at Edwin Moore. Put the times in there. That's ridiculous. That's not happening.
No, Brian, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Game 1 is the 4-5 women's game at 8 a.m. They don't even play AAU at 8 a.m. They give you the 9 a.m. for AAU.
No, I've played 8 a.m. AAU games before. They started. They cut that out over the recent years, but no, I remember playing 8 a.m. AAU games, thinking, how in the hell are we even awake right now? These kids, hey kids, go play hard at 8 a.m. even though you haven't had breakfast yet. Go ahead.
Now here's the thing: the women's schedule: 8, 9:45, 11:30, and 1:15. So they're playing the 4 women's games first.
Okay.
Followed by the men's games: 3, 4:45, 6:30, 8:15. Now, what's the odds, Brian? We're going to Vegas that 8:15 starts at 8:15.
Wait a minute. Give me the time of the men. What time is the men starting again?
The first men's game is scheduled for 3. They got them every 1:45.
Oh, okay. So they're not counting any TV timeouts, or they're just like, hey, you got to take the floor right afterwards.
And I'm assuming they're not giving them the usual standard 25-minute warm-up. They probably cut that down. They probably cut that down to 20.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No overtimes. No injuries.
You better hope there's no overtime. Look, they go sudden death. First basket wins. Maybe they're doing an Elam ending, Drew. Maybe they're doing an Elam in the final 4 minutes. They get to the
first to 8
timeout. They do a media timeout, and they say whoever gets the next 8 baskets wins the game. Whatever happens. Jesus.
Hey, Brian, that could be a long time the way some of these things shoot.
It does. It could be a long time. You might wish you had gone back to the clock.
Yeah. but they've got them scheduled every 1:45. So I'm just gonna, from experience, at 8:15 probably not gonna start till about 9:45 ish, 10 o'clock local time.
All right. Well, based on the standings for the men, the 8 teams are decided. The seeding is not, as of us talking to you guys and doing this show. North American, who you see there as the 5th seeded team, they are not in the tournament because the teams who are actually in the tournament are Texas College qualified, Xavier qualified, Jarvis Christian, and Paul Quinn all qualified to be in the tournament. In the tournament, the seeding is to be determined. Looking at the women's standings, you see Xavier women ranked number 2. But their seeding is a little. Oh, what happened? Oh, you did that?
I hit the wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button.
Oh, okay. I was looking at my screen and then I saw it move. Xavier women. Now, again, only 4 teams have qualified on the women's side.
I need to stop playing with buttons.
Yeah, please. 4 teams have qualified. Xavier, you can see, is tied with LSU Alexandria right now for 2nd. But there's no game for either of those teams to play. So, but I think Xavier will probably end up as the seed. You know, the one game that LSU, I don't know what again, tiebreaker. I didn't search whether Xavier had played LSU Alexandria twice, whether they beat them twice, to know if they're locked into the 2 seed or not. I do find it interesting that LSU Alexandria has 1 total game less than Xavier. But anyway, Xavier is the only HBCU locked in. So the 4 teams after, well, let's just see who has a shot here.
Houston Tillerson.
Yep. Houston Tillerson and Jarvis Christian still have a shot at getting in, but I think that's going to be based on the last game. Okay, real quick here. Southern States. We only have Stillman in the Southern States Athletic Conference and the men's postseason. Now, of course, the Southern States, you know, Stillman is hosting. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Stillman is hosting the GCAC.
Correct. This Southern States will be held at the multiplex in Montgomery.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to figure out where it was going to be. I didn't know. I don't think I wrote it down, so that's why I was kind of paused for a second. But yeah, there's your top 8 right there. On the women's side, Stillman's women, I think they're in as an 8 seed.
Correct. They take the top 10.
Yeah, so they will have to play the 9 seed Blue Mountain in the opening round. And the Southern States begins Wednesday, February 28th. That's the opening round. So Stillman women are the 8 seed. They'll play on February 28th. And then they'll get into quarterfinal action following that. All right. Let's talk about the granddaddy of them all this weekend, the Division II CIAA tournament, which is, I'm sure, what everybody will be buzzing about this week. If not, you should. In Baltimore, Maryland. Drew, do you like the CIAA tournament being a week ahead of most Division II tournaments? Does it create an advantage or a disadvantage for the winners? What are your thoughts?
The winners get a chance to sit back and relax and practice. That's number 1. Number 2, something that a lot of people don't think about. Spring break for these kids is important. So it may allow these kids to actually get a day or two away from basketball if they get this tournament out the way. Because spring breaks start next week for a lot of institutions. So have your tournament, win the tournament, give the kids a day or two off, and then get back in the gym for the conference win. They can enjoy a couple 3 days of their spring break.
The last thing you want is your kids enjoying spring break in the middle of your postseason tournament. I'm sorry. I'm like, you got all after the basketball season to spring break. You got the summer to spring break. No, doggone it, you're a student athlete. There's no spring break for you unless we have a bad season.
I mean, y'all already took Thanksgiving and Christmas away. Hell, you give them a day, 2 days.
Man, y'all better have spring break in the dorms. Anyway, let's get into this matchup. As you can see, the opening round.
Ellen brings up a very good point.
What's that?
That being a major draw, it probably helps them because they start out before everybody else.
One of the things I still haven't seen are numbers. What are you doing? I still haven't seen numbers.
For some reason, it's not doing.
Well, what are you trying to do? Let me ask that. I still haven't seen
so that the doggone. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you trying to do a full screen on the tournament bracket?
Say again.
Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I was trying to have the comment not cover up the bracket.
Oh yeah. Well, don't put the comment up. All right. Opening round for the women and the men both start February 26th and 27th at CFG Bank Arena in Baltimore. All the games appear to be on ESPN Plus. So exactly, Edwin. I want no part of the spring break distraction. I'm sorry. What's interesting to me in the way this format, and this is the women's bracket, right? So obviously the quarterfinals are set up where the 1 and the 2 seeds get an extra day off. The one seeds, the double bye. The 1 seeds actually get the extra day because if you can see that bracket on February 28th, the 1 seed Elizabeth City State and Fayetteville State get the bye to the extent of they don't have to play on the 29th. So, for example,
they get a bye. They get a bye, play, day off, and then play again.
Right.
They get which is more of a normal basketball rhythm for these athletes.
Correct. Versus the Claflin and Virginia States who get the 29th, the 1st, and then the championship game. Now, also at a disadvantage is the bottom half of the bracket. And I pointed to you for this example, Drew. If you look at the 1 South, the Fayetteville State and the 2 North Virginia State, they have the 6 p.m. game in the semifinals. Guess what time the championship game is for them? 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I haven't looked into the history of this to know that this is really a advantage or disadvantage, but I feel like it is. I'd have to look at the history of the tournament to really know for sure. Maybe I will if I can find some betting lines on these Division II games, seeing how they're all going to be on TV. But anyway, there's a distinct advantage, I would say, on time for Elizabeth City State and Claflin.
Because all their games are set for early afternoon.
Right. They're playing 2 o'clock or noon, then a noon semifinal, and a 1 o'clock championship game. versus evening time, late afternoon for Fayetteville State, evening for Virginia State, evening in the semifinals, and then, of course, an afternoon championship game. Right. Edwin says if anyone gets a disadvantage, it should be the lowest seed. I don't, but when you get to the semifinals, and I just don't understand why you have one semifinal at noon and the other at 6.
Because they're breaking it up, women, men, women, men.
Yeah, I know. Just that's the wrong. I don't know. Anyway, but it is what it is. So, what's your take on here? I'm saying that it's just, and it's Fayetteville State's to lose. That's the hot team. 10 in a row is the streak that they're on going into the tournament. I'm not sure Bluefield or Livingstone is going to upset them, which puts them in the semifinals against maybe Virginia State. I think Virginia State would be the likely matchup, right?
What I want to look at, Brian, let's look at the 4 teams that get to bye.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of these 4 are the most likely to lose to one of those hot teams who's already got 1, possibly 2 games in? That's where you're going to get your upset. Elizabeth City, Claflin, Fayetteville, Virginia State. Who's the team that's most likely to lose?
That's tough, man. I think Claflin gets an advantage because they actually have an extra day. It's really hard to look at the 2 seeds and say the 2 seeds have a disadvantage, other than the fact that they got to play potentially a tough 3 seed. Damn, Drew, I don't know. I guess I might say Elizabeth City State. I'm going to go Elizabeth City State, the 1 seed in the North, just because you got to play 2:20 in the afternoon, St. Aug and Lincoln, who's a 4-5s. I think if Lincoln wins that game, Lincoln could very well be a good enough team to upset them. So, what about you?
I tend to agree. I'm looking at and I just realized they got the bracket drawn wrong. They got Claflin in the wrong spot on the bracket.
Do they really?
Yeah, because they got Virginia Union Shaw with the winner going to where Claflin's spot is. Claflin should be at the bottom portion of that. Just for aesthetics purposes.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, I see.
But I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Union over Claflin to be that possible upset.
So the 2 days of sitting around, the 27th and 20th. If you're Claflin, what date? Now I don't know if the CIAA requires the teams to come in early, but if you're Claflin, I'm not showing up until the 28th. Hopefully I don't have to be there on the 27th, because I think sitting around is what might get you.
If I travel on the 27th, I travel and arrive the evening of the 27th, and then practice somewhere on the 28th.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas Union or the Union Shaw winner, and I'm suggesting Union will already be there. They'll be in town. They'll be adjusted to the city, the hotels, and everything, and have that day, have the practice spot, the practice time already carved out, and then Claflin. I think that team that's already there has an advantage over the team that may be traveling in a day or so before.
Russell Hayes says last 4 teams throw the record books out the door. Now, are you saying the last 4 teams will make it to the semifinal, Russell, or are you saying the the top, the top four seeds. Yeah. Edwin asked, "Well, I wouldn't come in." No, I would not come into environment. No, that's the last thing I want my kids to do. I would go exactly that format that Drew said. I would come in very late on the 27th, so my kids can just come in, check into the hotel, sleep on the 28th. Hell, Drew, I'd even go even further. I'd maybe just arrive on the 28th in the morning and do what I got to do in terms of a shoot around practice, and then let them sleep.
Make it a normal travel situation.
Yeah. I'd come in early on the 28th. I mean, especially if I'm coming from Claflin, which is in South Carolina, up to Maryland. You're probably taking a bus, and we just get in the bus 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. Get to Maryland by noon. I don't know. I want to be there in enough time to be able to just rest and play. I don't want my kids to be in around any of the extra stuff going around, because I think it's taken away from their focus. Maybe business trip.
Yes. Let's move over to the men.
All right, here we go. There's the men. The 1 seed in the North is Lincoln, PA. The 1 seed in the South is Fayetteville State. Claflin, the 2 in the South. Virginia Union, the 2 in the North. Now, again, I told you the anomaly, the statistical anomaly in all of this is who, Drew? Winston-Salem State. And I know that they've won the title 2 times over the last 4 years. And if I'm not mistaken, in each of those situations, they had to win 4 games over 5 days to win the title. Right? And guess where they are in a similar spot again. 4 games in 4 days. They have, by my count, Drew, they have the best conference record next to Claflin. Claflin finished 13-5. Winston-Salem State finished 13-5. But because Winston-Salem finished 3rd in the division, that's where they are. So that's my dark horse. You were going to ask me about an upset. If I'm Virginia Union, damn, I wish Winston-Salem wasn't potentially having to play me in the quarterfinal.
Especially after having the game get warmed up.
Yes, they get a game to warm up at 10 in the morning, and they're probably if I'm Winston-Salem, I'm pissed that I have to play that game because of the fact that we have the best conference record, but because of East, West, and all this other stuff.
But hold up, Brian. Look at the advantage Winston-Salem has. They play that game at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And then have a day and a half because they don't play again until 8 o'clock the following night.
Exactly. Big advantage. So this is where what's funny, we talked about how the scheduling kind of plays against potentially Fayetteville State women. Well, for Winston-Salem State men, I think they're in a scheduling advantage here. Where you do get a day and a half to prepare for Virginia Union. And then Virginia Union's been sitting around for 2 days. And that game will be a good game on 8 p.m. on ESPN Plus, should it happen, Winston-Salem versus Virginia Union. And then, of course, the semifinals are 2 and 8. And then the championship is 4. I don't think that's as bad. I think that's an 8-4 is not bad, I don't think.
Remember last year they flipped it and played the women's game last, so it was 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock for the women.
That was an injustice. That was a travesty last year. That was ridiculous.
Yes,
that was ridiculous. So at least they got that fixed, and but I don't know, TV markets. that's why that game, it goes to ESPNU for the championship. Who's your upset? Do you got an upset, or who's your pick to come out of this?
Oh, I've got Winston-Salem and Claflin in the final. I got all South final.
Yep, I think that's how it could and should probably shake out. But there's always somebody that trips over themselves and vomits on themselves in the big stage, and so that's question is, who will it be? Who will it be? All right. So we're looking forward to watching those tournaments beginning this upcoming week. Anything else? I think that was my last spread. So that was my last slide.
Only other thing, we will have a SIAC preview on Thursday after inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dr. Gavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Thursday. We'll come on with the SIAC preview because we should have that set by then.
One of the things I'm toying around. I don't know if my schedule will allow me to do it this week, but I thought about I may do a March Madness show beginning this Friday and every Friday through the tournament, where not only are we talking about the HBCU, but maybe just get into talking about the Division I field as well, for those of you who like to play in the NCAA bracket contest and things of that nature. I don't know. It's just a thought that I've had in my head for the last day or two, or last few days, Drew. We'll see if I can make it a reality. I don't know, but where we not just talk about the HBCU basketball scene, but then we also maybe get into talking about the NCAA Division I field of 64, 68, or however many damn teams it is these days. And we get to talking about that. So I don't know. It may happen. If it happens, you'll see a post. You'll see a post. We'll do haven't figured out a catchy little name for it yet or anything, but just a thought. All right then. Well, anything that we forgot to mention in this show? Plenty of HBCU games in the MEAC and SWAC tomorrow. Anything you want to mention here before we check out?
No, we didn't even get a chance to talk about the Andre Dawson Classic or the other baseball classic that went on this particular weekend. So yes,
we'll pack it away, and then maybe next week at the start of the show we'll get into quickly kind of mentioning some of the baseball stuff over the last 2 weeks. We'll see.
Yeah, we definitely, because if we get into baseball, we're going another hour. It is approaching our bedtime here on the East Coast.
Yes, indeed. It is. Okay. Well, hey, everybody, please hit that thumbs up and like button wherever you're watching the show, on Facebook or on YouTube. Edwin, got to give a shout out to FAMU. Put a beating on Southern today. I'm sorry, Edwin, you didn't know, but I'll tell you. Yeah, we put a beating on Southern today. Last I checked, it was 16-0. We were putting a football number up on y'all. 16-0, and that was in the 6th inning. I don't know if Southern scored, and I don't know what the final is, so I'll be honest. But I just know it was 16-0 at one point.
Question: why do some of these preseason tournaments have run rules and some of them don't?
That's a good question. Maybe is it because of television? Maybe.
I mean, I don't know, but these 10 after 7. 10 after 7 is in for a reason. Why prolong the agony? Although, Bryan, I did see a college game this week. Was it on TV?
Baseball?
Yes, baseball.
Okay.
Team was up 9 runs in the bottom of the 7th. and with 2 outs and 2 strikes, gave up a 3-run blast to extend the game. We were 1 out from a run rule. No, they were up 11. I'm sorry. They were up 11, Brian. My bad. With 2 outs in the 7th inning. And gave up a 3-run blast.
And did they end up losing the game?
They won by 14-13. The score was 14-3 in the bottom of the 7th.
Oh. The run, I have heard this as well, Edwin, about the run rule thing. And that if both teams can decide before the game whether they're going to use run rule or not. So, or
I guess it's a non-conference, because conference has its own mandates for conference games.
Yeah, and also if it's a doubleheader, you can also decide maybe one of the 2 games you're going to have a 7-run game or 7-inning game, and the other one might be a full 9-inning. Yeah. So I think that too also is one of those at the meeting at the plates. I got one last thing, Drew. This is, and thank you, Mike Reed, for reminding me. Tomorrow night, Mississippi Valley State could tie a record in the SWAC with a loss. There have been 2, and I looked this up.
In which sport?
We're talking men's basketball. There have been 2 other, and I just did a search the other day. I was just curious about this. I did a search, winless men's basketball teams in just winless teams in sports, right? And there were 2 schools. Let me see. Let me see if I can figure this out. Winless.
Why are you doing that? Russell, what are you talking about? You joking, host? I'm just curious. What were we talking about?
Okay, here's the list of winless seasons, right? In college basketball, men's Division I, NCAA. There have been 2 SWAC schools that have had winless seasons. Prairie View A&M. This is basketball, not football. Basketball. In 91 and 92, went 0-28.
That was back during the time when they didn't have any athletic scholarships at Prairie View, I'm assuming.
Is that what it was?
If I remember correctly. Yeah, that was back when football was also in the same situation.
Wow. In 2012, the 2012-2013 season, Grambling men's basketball went 0-28. Again, tomorrow, Monday night, Mississippi Valley State plays. Let me look at the schedule. Let me confirm this real quick. Come on, website. Come on. You would think I had a high-speed internet connection. I'm going to have to call Spectrum and do a speed test here. Mississippi Valley State host Prairie View A&M. 7:30 Central, 8 Eastern. Should Mississippi
location?
It's at Mississippi Valley. Should they lose that game, they would tie the 0-28 mark that is set on record by Prairie View and Grambling. Now, those were complete seasons for Prairie View and Grambling, according to the information that I'm getting it from. Of course, Valley's season is not quite over, because after this Prairie View game, the remaining schedule for Valley consists of, if I have to go through any more filters. The remaining schedule consist of having to play at Arkansas Pine Bluff on the 2nd of March, and then they play at Alcorn and at Jackson State. So there are still opportunities. So Mike Reed says Valley's going to win a game before the end of the month. So that means you're expecting them to beat Prairie View. Mike, I don't know, I wouldn't put your money on that bet. But I know you have a heart for that kind of stuff. So you go ahead and put that down on the money line. You let me know how that works out for you. But I'm advising you not to do that.
Getting back to Russell's question, yes, Russell, Steelman was up 14-3 entering the bottom of the 7th inning. They gave up a 3-run blast with 2 outs in the 7th inning. Wound up giving up 7 runs in the 7th. Gave up a couple more in the 8th, and let's see, 7 would make it 10. They gave up 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th to make it 2 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th for the final score to be 14-13. And Bryan, with that 14-13, the team that was coming from behind had bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th inning with an opportunity to win before the pitcher popped them up.
All right. Oh, okay. Well, Reed said in something, not necessarily. He wasn't necessarily talking men's basketball. All right. Well, we'll see. Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Good breakdown. Good breakdown, though.
Yeah, give me an opportunity to get that little nugget out that I researched. So 4 games to go for Mississippi Valley State, and can they avoid going winless? Currently 0-27. Man, hard times in the Valley. With that said, that'll be a great way to end this show.
Pick up the show and get out of here.
Hard times in the Valley. That's next week's show name right there, Drew. Hey, we appreciate everybody for watching and listening to the show. Send us your thoughts via X or Twitter. If you would, you can always donate to the show via the JBN links that you see right there. There's the Cash App rolling across the scroll. You can always hit us up there. And more importantly, share the show. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks to everybody watching on Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you. Go look for the BCSN Pod Zone, where you can get a great recap of all of the shows on the Black College Sports Network. You'll be able to catch up Carlos Brown's show from Saturday, this show, and more throughout the course of the week. So we are everywhere that you download and listen to podcasts. Just search BCSN Pod Zone. Let's have a great week, everybody. Thanks for watching. Drew, I know you'll stay busy, but stay healthy, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Thanks to everybody out there. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Have a light, everybody. We'll holler.
But earmuff, you stay on hard.